Okay, we have an outlet with two wires on one screw, which is not up to code. Here in the country I was born in, we use 12 American wire gauge on 20 amps, 14 American wire gauge on 15 amps. Black is live, white is neutral, the bare, the green is the ground. Red and blue are also live colors. However, you may find white live in a switch loop or 220, 240 volt circuit where the appliance does not require a neutral, and that switch loop will be on a 110, 120 volt circuit. There's where you have two wires on one screw. Oh, there's actually three wires on one screw. 1, 2, and 3. Oh no, it's 2. And the ground wires are just knotted together there. We'll look over here. Again, we have 2 wires on one screw here. We'll just go ahead and unhook all this. And that wasn't tight. According to the code, you have to have only one wire on one screw. You cannot put 2 wires on one screw. See how all these ground wires are just knotted up here? So we'll use a piece of 12-2 here to make our tails with. So we'll pigtail our round wire here. Make sure all 4 of our wires are even on the end here. This is all a knotted up mess, so I can't get it as even as I like, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just can't get it perfect. I hold the tail to keep it from getting uneven in the wire knot. This little lock thing keeps getting in my way, so I can just go bye-bye.
Yeah, those things are a pain in the head, bud.
Yeah, there we go.
You know what?
What?
We're not going to be using all that, so you come down and show me how much you need, plus an extra 6 inches, because I don't want to leave that
Okay.
wigging way too much.
Okay, I'll come. Yeah.
These things don't work, the strippers?
Yeah, they work, but I have my own.
These here.
Oh, no, you can't use
They
that
won't
on.
even touch it?
No, nothing. It won't touch it at all.
Come on down there and show me what you need, 'cause I don't want to do any extra.
Okay, so we'll get our wires, get our insulation even here at the bottom. Get our 3rd one in here. Pull it up so it's even here with the other ones. There we go. And we'll get our 4th one. The insulation at the top here. Twist it in so it's even. And we'll cut them so all wires are even on the ends that the spring grabs them off. And I'll hold our tail and we'll twist our wire nut on. Keep the belts in there. white neutral wires. We get our ground wire down here to the bottom. Keep our ground wire down at the bottom here. Get our insulation even at the top here. See how I'm keeping all the insulation even at the bottom there, and we'll get our fourth one in here. And I'll clip them so they're all even with the shortest one inside the wire nut here. Make sure I get a nice tight connection here. Nice and tight there. Now we can pull our wires back into our box. I want to get that paper out of here. Okay, everything looks good. Now we'll push our wires back into our box. Let's use the rubber part of my handle to help push them back a little bit here. Okay, now we'll get ready to hook our, we'll put a nice new outlet on here. We'll strip our wires the length we want. We'll take off about an inch. So here in the country I was born in, your black wire goes on the brass screw, which is the narrow slot. White goes on the silver screw, which is the wider slot. And your ground goes on this green screw. So first we'll hook our put our black. We'll do our white and ground first. Put our white on the silver colored screw. You put your wire around the screw the direction your screw turns. And I pull forward a little bit on the outlet so that the copper stays under the screw head all the way around the way we want it. We'll put our ground wire around the screen screw. I love how it pops like a bunny. Torque with the flathead. Torque with the flathead. Put our black over here on this side. We'll put our black on the brass colored screw. You always go the direction your screw turns. There we go. Now we push this into our box. Let's keep our ground wire down here at the bottom. And we'll finish it by hand so we don't strip our holes out. Now let's look to make sure our ground wire is down away from everything, which it is. Let's see how they did hooking up this light switch there. Okay, the two black wires don't look bad, but they put two ground wires on one screw, which is not up to code. And we'll look at our white wires and see how they did inside the wire nut here. Yep, they're a little uneven there, so we'll pull this one up, get the insulation even at the top here like this, and then we'll twist it. And then we'll clip it so they're even on the end here. Put our wire nut on. We'll put our white wires back into our box here. And now we'll take our ground wires off here and tell them up the right way. And we'll get some Wagos or something we can use. Okay, so we'll pull some ground wire out of a piece of tail here. And we'll use a Wago. So we'll push our wire in like that. And you'll see how I get the copper to come up to the top there, like that. So I'll make sure I get my other ones in the same way. Make sure our wires are straight here. I can hold it here, push it in. Make sure our copper, see how it's not up to the top yet there? I push it a little bit more. Now it's up to the top where I want it. I'll get my other one in here. Okay, see we got all three conductors all the way up at the top. 1, 2, 3. And now we can push this into our box, get it out of our way here. And we'll keep our ground wire over here on the side. I'll clip a little off here. We'll make our loop the direction our screw turns. Make sure it's nice and tight. Keep our ground over on this side. And we'll look, so you got the insulation under the screw there and a little bit here, so I'm going to strip these back a little bit more. See how you got the insulation under the screw head? See how it's pushed, how it's split there? That'll make a loose connection. Okay, again we got, see how the insulation was caught under the screw? You can see how it's marred right there. So we'll just strip these a little longer. I love the kittens, I love the cats, I love the kittens. So now we'll strip make our loops the direction our screw is going to turn. I have to use the flathead. Make sure it's nice and tight. We have a good connection here. See how we don't get the insulation under the screw head there? That's what we want. I'm going to pull it back just a little bit so our copper stays under the screw head all the way around. And that's what we want right there. Okay, so now we're going to push this into our box. And I'll keep our ground wire over on this side so it stays away from everything. Now here's the handful to strip the holes out. Okay, so let's see how we did behind this outlet here. Okay, again we have 2 wires on 1 screw, which is not code. These wires are around the screws properly. And let's see how you did on the blacks. The insulation is caught under the screw head here, so that's not good. So we'll take all this apart and we'll just redo all this. Okay, so since this is in a bathroom, we have to have a GFI receptacle. And on the back, you'll see where it says line and load. So the bottom ones are the loads. We're going to close that because we're not going to be coming off of the load side. So we'll just close those up. And this is the line side. We'll open these up. We'll just clip all these old loops off and make some nice new strips. We'll get our wire all nice and straightened out here. We're going to use Wagos. Push one in. I'm going to hold it with my needle nose here. Put one in, make sure our copper comes up to the top. Put our second one in. Make sure our copper comes up to the top here. And we'll put our tail in. third tail to go to our GFI in. So there they all are. I'm going to push this one up a little bit more. Didn't quite go in all the way. Okay. I'll make sure they're up in all the way. See, our copper is all the way in at the top. So now we can put our ground wires back into our box. Get them out of the way here. Now we'll do our black wires. These are our live wires. We always strip with our number 12 hole. We're using our number 12 wire, so we don't put a weak spot in our wire. You know what? I was in the 14 gauge hole, so you know what? I can cut that off, go back to here, strip it with our 12 gauge hole. There it is. Okay, I'm just going to make sure it's not too long or too short. That's a good length. They're both slightly long, but not a lot, so I'll just clip a tiny bit off of this one and just a tiny bit off of this. There's our tail there. I'll make sure it's not too long. And our copper will go in just like that there. That's how we want it to be. So we'll put it in. We'll make sure insulation goes up into the orange and our copper goes up to the top. And we'll put our other two in. Now I can't hold the live wires with the pliers. I don't want to cut into the insulation. There it is. Our copper is going up to the top there. That's where we want it. Get our third one in down here. We'll just have to turn it this way. Okay. Okay, so we have all three of our coppers up at the top and all our insulation is into the bottom of the Wago, so we can push this back into our box. Now we'll do our white wires. I want to make sure our wire is nice and straight to go into our Wago. Okay, I'll just hold it up here, make sure it's the right length. Make sure it's not too long or too short. Okay, so we'll put okay, our copper is up at the top. I'm going to take a smidgen more off of this. This looks a little short, so I'll take a tiny little smidgen off. Okay, our copper is up at the top. Okay, I'll look at the top here, make sure our copper is all up at the top. Okay, I see all of our, this one. Okay, now they're all up at the top. Well, this bottom one doesn't look like it's going in. Now it is. A little force. Okay, so everything's all up to the top where it's supposed to be. I'm just going to give that one more good shove just to make sure it's in all the way. Okay, so we'll put our whites up into our box. Okay, now we're ready to hook our GFI receptacle up. We'll strip our wires on the side. I'll just hold it up here to make sure it's not too long or too short. That's a good, I'll just stick it up into here. There, that's a good length right there. Okay, I just need to take a tiny little smidgen off of both. Just a tiny smidgen. Okay, so again, we'll put our white on the silver line colored screw. We'll put it in like this. Make sure it's nice and tight. Over here we'll put our black on the brass line colored screw. Make sure you don't get your insulation caught under the pressure plate. There's our black. That's what we want, or just like a tiny bit of smidgen space there. Come over here, we'll just torque our white one down, make sure it's tight. And now we can put our ground under the green, but the green screw is gone, so here it is right here. So we're going to take it, we're going to make a loop in our ground wire here. Okay, we have our connection the way we want it. Now we can push our wires into our box. So we're going to keep our ground wire up here at the top. So we'll come up with our black and white, go down, and just keep our ground wire up here at the top so it stays away from everything. Nice and straight here. And we'll finish this by hand so we don't strip our holes out. So that is how to properly connect wires to light switches and outlets here in the country I was born in.